All right. Welcome, 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 welcome. Love and abundance, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to this show called What's Your Story? So, at the very beginning, as people are coming in, I am going to do something called the water ritual. Essentially, what I do here is I make sure everyone drinks water. I've had a lot of conversations with people, and I've found out that they don't drink enough water. So I'm going to take a sip of water with everyone. Everyone that's listening in right now, please do the same with your water bottles as well. So I got my little sound effects going on in the background as well. All right. So what's your story? Why do I do this water ritual? The reason I do this is water is 75% of our body is water. 25% is the solid portion. Well, all the medicines that we take work on the 25% of our body. The water actually works on the 75% of the body, which is most of your body. So drinking enough water will get rid of a lot of the common diseases that you have in your life. Drink more water. That's my reminder. All right, so what is the show about? Right, what's your story? We're talking to the Indian community. We're capturing stories from the Indian community, discussing challenges, issues, stereotypes, limitations, and ways that we could support each other, build ourselves up and our community up. We discuss paths that are not so common in our community. And we do this by sharing our stories and sharing our experiences. So before I get to our guest today, I want to talk about a short story. So there's this farmer in China, and one day his horse ran away. So all of his neighbors came that night came over and said, "Oh, it's so sad, your horse ran away." And he says, "Maybe." And then the next day, the horse comes back and brings 7 other horses with him. And everyone comes back that night and says, "Wow, you're so lucky. Look at you got 8 horses now." And he says, "Maybe." And then the next day, his son was riding the horse, taking it out for the first time on that horse, and he breaks a leg. He falls down and breaks a leg. And everyone comes over that night and is like, "Wow, this is so sad. I'm so sorry." And he says, "Maybe." The next day, the army comes in. The government agents come in, and they open up a scroll and they say, "Look, we need your service for the army. We're training people right now." And guess what happens? They don't select the boy because he has a fractured leg. And everyone comes over and they're like, "Wow, you're so lucky. Look at this. Look at what happened." And he says, "Maybe." So essentially, the idea that our farmer is giving is that we don't know whether something is good or bad. Just take it as it is. But guess what? In today's topic, we're talking about leather. We know for 100% sure that it is a bad thing. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is something bad. Bad for the animals, bad for the natural resources like water, bad for the environment. But we're going to talk about all of these things with our guests today. They have this unique kind of brand. It's a plant-based. Plant-based. Hold on. I got a sound effect for this one. Plant-based. So every time we say plant-based, we're gonna play that siren. Like this is the buzzword for today. Plant-based or vegan. All right. Today we'll be speaking with a sustainable plant-based travel brand called High Atlas. Guess what? Their bags don't have leather in them. So I'm gonna add them to the stream. We got Vineet, who is the CFO of High Atlas. We got Tanmay, who is the CEO of High Atlas. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Hey, how you doing, Varun? Thanks for having us on.
Fantastic. Great to hear from you guys. Okay, I'm going to go directly into the questions. You sent me a whole blurb on the bio, but instead of me talking about it, I want to hear it directly from you guys. So tell me, how did you get started? What's your story? What's your background in the travel business?
Yeah, so Varun, my background is actually that of a second generation travel professional. My family, when they immigrated here, my dad came in 1979, and about 3 years later, he started a travel agency. And just continue to build it out. And then that's all I knew as a kid. And, lo and behold, many, many years later, after different life, occurrences, I ended up joining the travel business as well. And, it's part of who I am. It's in my blood, you could say. Fortunate to have traveled a fair bit around, and 10 years of being in the travel industry will change you for the better. And um, it's just been a crazy last couple of years, but in a good way also. I actually founded High Atlas with Vineet after I went to Morocco, and I was on a trip there, and I knew going in that I wanted to come back with a leather bag. This was 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And there's a city called Fez in Morocco, and they have in the Medina, in the fortress, they have um, a district known for their leather goods. And so I went, and swatting away flies in this marketplace, and picked out this bag that I liked, and it was made of camel leather. And we don't, it's not a very common type of material here. I mean, at least as far as I'm concerned. And I was like, okay, cool, brought it back, and it just got compliments everywhere I went with it. I mean, from the airport lounge to the hotel lobby, I mean, just left and right. And I was like, okay, cool, it's a nice bag. But it just kept happening, and I also felt such an attachment to this bag. It had had memories attached to it, and was very foreign and inspired by people who had design functions built into it for their specific way of life. And I can get into that stuff later. But I thought, well, why don't I try and um, if I'm getting so much attention, try and make this into something that I can sell, like as a side business, whatever. And thinking about it, it wasn't really doing much. And then I came across Cactus Leather, this article talking about all the benefits and how much better it was, and that really moved me as well to say, well, this could be something that is a viable alternative to regular leather, which I've been looking into. And so I started, Beneath and I, we went to USC together while I was doing undergrad. He was doing his grad in engineering. My background is in cinema, television. And so, I was telling him about it, talking to him, and he's like, I really like this idea of what you're working on. You have something. Why don't you think about building a brand out of it? And I was like, okay, yeah, let's see. I don't know. And we kept talking. He said, well, why don't we work together on it? I was like, okay, well, all right, fine. And ever since then, I've just been working diligently to bring this thing to life. We started with our one bag. It's called the Vegan Dirt. And yeah, that's kind of how we got there, how we are.
Before we get into more about High Atlas, I think you're being extremely modest about the number of countries you've visited. You're like 40, 41, 42, and how many countries have you visited thus far?
I mean, a good number, I would say probably 41 or 42.
Wow. So you visited 40 countries when probably you were like before 40, because the pandemic has taken the last 2 years of your life.
Yeah. It's funny, V, because I come across people, not come across, but I have friends that have been to like also many, many countries and, immigrated here. And thanks, I guess.
I'll tell you from my experience, I've only been to like 3 countries, India, and I was born in Dubai, and probably like a couple other like Mexico and things like that, right? So coming from my eyes, I've only been to a few countries, and I think that's very, very impressive. People in the audience, please like this video, hit the subscribe button, and also comment below if you have questions. And second thing, comment below, how many countries have you been to thus far? I'd love to see that. Vineet,
enough, Varun, Tanmay and I actually met up in Thailand many many years ago. I was there on business, so our friendship crosses not just USC where we met, but even travel. Like we've traveled together. This has been 20, 21, 22 years of traveling with each other. I too am a first generation immigrant, so I come from South Africa, by Indian by race. And my background is chemical engineering. I came to do my master's at USC, did chemical engineering. And I have two wonderful daughters. And I think for me, when the concept of high atlas really came about was, we understand that there is impacts to our climate. Like it's very 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 clear to us. One day it's hot, one day it's cold. Generally speaking, when it's supposed to snow, it's not that good. So there is a direct impact that we're seeing to climate change in our generation. So I can just imagine what my children who are very young, 5 and 1.5, what they are going to face as their kind of issues. And one of the areas that we kind of realized, not only just with the cactus leather, was that we can save water. It has many aspects of just being, even from a carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide that's being consumed by animals. So the impact in itself is wonderful. And I cherish the fact that I was fortunate enough to meet Tanmay, and me and him. I think we decided to 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago. Hey, this seems like a viable venture. But even from the concept of, hey, can we get people to actually understand that even owning a piece of a sustainable item can change the world? Like replace one item that you consider as something that you usually use, change it to a sustainable item. And if 7 billion people actually do that, now you've actually can support and maybe even reverse climate change, right? So that to me is kind of the bigger picture. I'm currently based in the Bay Area, so I see a lot of technology. I see a lot of people trying to figure out how do we reverse climate change. It really starts with daily habits and daily things that you use, like luggage, your fashion, your retail. And how do we kind of see that specific market in itself is contributing to where we are today, and how can we kind of help reverse that. And so that's the bigger picture, is kind of where we see this.
Yeah, Vineet, I completely agree with you. I mean, we have the power with our money, right? Where we put our money has a lot to say in this capitalistic economy. And if all of us make the decision one day to, like you said, change one thing, make it more sustainable, make it, find a better way to do that one thing, or, I think that will start making waves, and a lot of change can happen in a very short period of time. You mentioned water, right? Uh, I found some statistics somewhere that it says that to make 1 kg of leather, 1 kilogram of leather, it takes like 17,000 liters of fresh water.
Yeah.
Imagine how many people can be drinking that fresh water. Imagine, I mean, there's so much we could do with that, but it takes 17,000 liters to produce 1 kg of leather. So, what are some of the other reasons that cactus leather has an upper hand over regular leather?
Yeah, and I think it comes back to the fact that it's very durable. It has very much of the similar characteristics of leather. Cactus as a whole is a very strong and environmentally strong plant. So you can imagine what the process in terms of converting into a powder and making it into a form of leather enables that same durability. It's obviously completely animal free, which is something that we're moving away from leather. And that was one of the main decisions that Tanmay and I made, was how do we not, we're both Indians, and we respect animals as much as on a daily basis. And how do we provide a product that considers those aspects? And that's where we looked at cactus leather. And it's actually something new. It's a trend in in the world, where they're starting to use plant-based material. And where's the let's hear the special sound.
Oh,
Plant-based.
yes.
Yeah.
Base. You caught me sleeping. There we go.
Yeah. So we're seeing things in pineapple, mushrooms. All these are being used, and it comes back from a very old culture of kind of the hemp clothing, hemp accessories and bags. And I think this cycle will help reverse some of those climate aspects. So cactus leather is something we found, and it's the good thing is it's available. It is readily available across Mexico, and so we found that to be the better choice for us to kind of move forward with our first line of products.
Okay, and so I know you mentioned Mexico. Did you guys take a trip down there? How was that whole process in sourcing and finding and the whole thing?
Yeah, I went down there in the summertime, and this was in the middle of a pandemic, so we had to sort of weigh that out. But I guess you could say that it really was that important. We feel like we have a really inspirational vehicle with which to, tell this story about climate change and how we can, play our part in it. So so I went down there and met one of our leather partner. They're called Deserto, and they are based out of Guadalajara. And so I went down there, met them. They, throughout this whole process, have been amazing. They are great to work with. Whether you're a smaller business like us, or whether you're someone like Adidas, they treat us all the same. They have done collaborations with Adidas, with Fossil, Bergamo. They appeared at I think in Mercedes' new concept car. So they are, I can't say enough good things. And the quality of the material speaks for itself. So I went down there, and they were just moving into their new facility. So I got to visit it, see their whole setup. And, it's always different when you get to meet a potential business partner in person, shake their hand, and look eye to eye, and really, have developed a relationship, which for us is very important. That's how businesses are built. So met them, and then flew to Mexico City, where we met our manufacturer. They are the ones that put together our product. We made sure that our values aligned in terms of transparency, ethical treatment of workers, fair wages, things that frankly should be the bare minimum, but in a world of fast fashion are most definitely not. And by no means am I saying that we are perfect. We're definitely not, but we're doing as much as we can and making sure we maintain transparency in the process. So when I went down there, I wanted to make sure those values aligned, and fortunately they did. They are actually also they're a family-based business, been in the business for 30 years, and you sometimes just got to go by a gut check and go by your what you're feeling. The data can say everything that it says in terms of what numbers may be, but at the end of the day, it's, again, I don't know how much you can quantify a relationship where you feel trust, and also someone who will do a small batch production, which is what we do. We're very much trying to make sure we don't waste. We don't produce 1,000 units, even though we don't have demand for 1,000 units. And so in the midst of a pandemic, when a global supply chain has basically been set on fire, it's really difficult to find someone who's going to make 30 pieces for you when they're used to making 500. And so we were really happy with the fact that they were willing not only to work with us, but turn out the quality that they did for us. So far, all of our customers have been really happy with what we've been able to turn out for them. And so, but that being said, they can also scale up to 1,000. So, But we also were really happy with that they saw our vision. So it was
How did you
great.
come up? How did you come up with the name of High Atlas?
So the High Atlas Mountains in Morocco, and that's where the inspiration for the vegan beer came. In Morocco and the mountains there, I just felt had a nice. When I went there, I stayed in a homestay up there, and in the mountains, and it's just very natural. They lived with the earth. They didn't stand out. They have a very sustainable way of life up there, and so I wanted the name to have a tie to where the inspiration for our first product came from. So that's where
Cool.
that's where the name came from.
What you mentioned values. What are some of the values in High Atlas that you guys really care about and want to portray through the brand?
Yeah, there's a few of them, and I think they're all equally important to us. But sustainability, obviously, and I feel like that's maybe a term that's thrown around a lot and maybe used a bit loosely. But I think for our purposes, everything that encompasses, like I was saying, transparency, obviously as carbon neutral or negative as we can be, making things that last. That's obviously the whole point of making something that's sustainable is we want to make this planet last, right?
Yeah.
The other values that we really try and hold on to are the fact that it's plant-based. Um, you know, yeah, yeah. And it's not just plant-based. It's like Vineet was saying. It's not just that. It's that the type of plant that that we're basing the product on is it's built to last, right? And that leads into our other value prop, which is durability. We want to make things that will hopefully be the last time you buy it. And it's not that's a terrible thing to say as a businessman, a business person, right? You want to have a product or something that you're going to need to keep buying over and over again. Well, you can just buy it as a gift, right? But it should hopefully be or if not the last, for a very long time, right?
Yeah.
So
And
that was really important to us, especially.
And one of my favorites is really attainable. So we always look at sustainability as going to be expensive. Like as soon as you think about sustainability, especially when it comes to retail or fashion, etc., you think this is going to be something that's out of reach, right, for most people, right? And really, if we want to make it a habit where people own one or two things that are sustainable, we have to make it available for everyone, right? And if you go to India today, they've gone away from plastic bags a long time ago. They actually have paper, a style of, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a cotton style bag that everyone uses. It's completely sustainable, and if it's available for everyone to use, why can't we kind of arrive at that? And part of being that the CFO for me is like that has been something that I want to challenge ourselves to do, where we want more people to be able to attain it, right? We don't want the word sustainability to immediately think, oh, it's expensive, or we expect it to be a $500 or $600 item. We want it to be where it's attainable, where people are like, hey, if I compare it to that what's available today in the market, it's equally priced or maybe just a bit higher, but it's not too much of a stretch, and that's kind of the one of my favorite brand values that we have here.
That's awesome. I mean, I use one. I have one. I recently took it on a trip to Santa Monica. It was a staycation, if you want to call it, a week trip. And I mean, I could fit everything in that bag for the whole week. And it was amazing. I enjoyed the whole bag. It was very easy to carry. Felt good when I was carrying it, the straps. And and I really enjoyed the whole experience.
Actually, Varun,
Mhm.
I don't know, Vineet, if I told you this story or if you remember, but so Varun and I were at a community at a cultural program where we volunteer, and that's actually how we met. God, how many years ago now, thankfully. And Varun was going back to India to work on his business and meet suppliers, and I simultaneously was in the concepting phase of the bag and trying to put together suppliers. This, of course, was pre-COVID. And I said, we were looking at people in India too, and I said, hey, can you see if you when you're there, if you have a chance to, find anyone who is like a leather supplier there, because I'm working on this bag. And he's like, I'm vegan, right? And I was like, just forget I asked. And then I think it was literally maybe a month or so later, I discovered the cactus leather. And so I still always remember that, to this day, and I always will. That actually you were a part of that inspiration or serendipity there, because we came across the cactus leather shortly thereafter. So,
Oh man, that's amazing to hear that.
I don't know if I ever even told you that, but here we are, full circle, back on your show. So,
oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Tanmay. I appreciate that. Okay, so we mentioned some of the struggles. With building any entrepreneurial venture, there are always challenges. What are some of the challenges that High Atlas has faced thus far?
I mean, aside from a pandemic and apparently a pending World War III, there were some challenges before those too. But I think really when building out a new business, partners and relationships are paramount. And so this manufacturer, one of the main reasons that I went down to Mexico was because I needed to look those people in the eyes and see who they were and who we were going to be doing business with, which we did not have the opportunity to do with our first manufacturer, who unfortunately was not a good fit for us for a variety of reasons. Fortunately, this one that we're working with now is on all counts, but I'll tell you a funny story. So neither Vinitha nor I have a background in fashion or design. I have an arts background, but I don't know how to design a bag. We had no experience on how to do this, as many entrepreneurs do. They just see a problem that they have, and then they try and solve it themselves, right? So, here we are trying to find our way, find our footing, and figure out what we're really trying to do here. And so we wanted to make a few tweaks to the size of the bag, right, of the veganer. So, here we are, definitely not using what we're supposed to use or the language that we're supposed to, use with the manufacturer. So we were like, well, shorten the length by 2 inches and the height by this much and the width by this much. And inches are inches, right? We're like, how can you mess that up? So, okay, fine. He's like, okay, I'll make it, and I'm going to send you the prototypes in all the 3 colorways. Okay, cool. Sounds good. So we're waiting for the shipment. It's 6 bags or something, right? And no, 3 bags. And I get the alert or email from FedEx that the package has arrived. I'm like, oh, sweet, can't wait, I get to my house and it's not there. I'm like, well, what is going on here? So I call and I'm like, well, since it got here, and they're like, yeah, the guy, the delivery person said he dropped it off here and whatever. And I'm like, well, it's not here. So I go check the security, and the security shows the FedEx delivery person delivering it to the building across the street from my building. And I'm like, okay, well, this should be easy to track down. It's right across the street. So I cross the street, and I'm looking, no boxes in front of where the mail normally is. So I'm like, hey, I got a copy of the video. I sent it to FedEx. Hey, this is what happened. But in the meantime, I want to see what the bags look like. So I go literally knocking like a 1975 Encyclopedia Britannica salesman on every door for my bags, right? Where do you, I was like, literally, do you have my bags? No. Do you have 18 times? No. One of those people has our bags, but that's besides the point. Right? So here we are. We haven't seen the size of this bag, but we, in our heads, again, figured like 2 inches, right? How that can 2 inches be? So we give the go ahead, right? And go ahead, make our first small batch, 30 bags, right? Like, okay, we're excited. We figure out a way to get them here because, COVID and what's the least expensive
And
bag?
meanwhile, I'm designing a box, and I'm like, okay, we'll have a nice box that will have kind of our design on it. We'll have our core values, etc. And it's shipping to my place, right? And the production order from Mexico is shipping to Tanmei's place, right? So I received this box, the standard boxes, and I put this together, and it's a lot smaller than what we had imagined, right? And it was like, so I called Tanmay. I said, I think we have made a mistake on kind of the size of this vegan. Are you sure you put in the right values? So this is us going back and trying to figure out whether we ordered the boxes wrong or we ordered the vegan dish wrong. Fast forward, I'll let Tanmay finish the story. But
So,
fast forward,
so, so yeah, so we're like, okay, green light. And I think about 60 days later, the shipment arrives, and I'm excited. Go grab the knife, open this bad boy up. Right, let's see, like, literally 6-7 months of work, right? And I open it up, and it's like half the size of what we were intending it to be, right? And I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me with this! Like, this is not 2 inches. You know what I mean? This is not 2 inches in length nor height. It's like full on, you know, way like 3 times as small than what we told you to make this thing." But he didn't, the manufacturer, after making one, could have been like, hey guys, this is much smaller than the first one that I made for you, which you wanted to make small adjustments to, right? So that's what I'm just drawing it back to the fact that you don't have a partner who's actually a partner. Yes, of course you're doing business together, right? There's an exchange of consideration.
Right.
At least have the professional courtesy to be like, hey guys, size is a bit smaller than what you first had. But no, you know what I mean? So we ended up now, as a result of that, what we like to refer to as a happy accident, have two sizes, and each has its use case. Our first customers and friends and family, we just were like, hey guys, here's what happened. We're not going anywhere. As soon as we get our supply chain rebuilt, we'll be right back at your door. Then we were right. It all worked out the way it was supposed to. But um, but uh, midway through working with the first manufacturer, Vineet and I both were like, "Okay, this is a stopgap because this, it's not a good fit." But we, again, small batch in Mexico, pandemic, it was like the walls were closing it around our options, so we had to do what we had to do. But we eventually did. It was not the order that we wanted it to go in, nor as smoothly as we hoped, but we found the supplier and partner that we need.
It all worked out at the end.
Yeah. But like I listen to podcasts all day long about with guests, entrepreneurs, and brands that are telling their origination story, and there's not one that's been like, yeah, we nailed it on the first try. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, if you did, I'm glad you didn't have to go through what we went through, but that's kind of, it makes for a good story. Now it's funny now. It wasn't then.
I was going through it.
Yeah, but hey.
So that's a great question from the audience. What's the best way to take care of the bag to make it last long?
Vinny?
Yeah, sure. So it's what we recommend is just normal soap and slight amount of water, just a very damp towel. Wipe it inside and kind of inside and outside, and that should be it. There is really no, obviously, don't toss it into a laundry or your dishwasher, because if that amount of rain and that amount of changes in external weather can potentially cause damage. But just a light wipe with a damp towel, soapy towel should be fine.
Yeah, no acetone. So that it's natural. You know what I mean? The other thing that is really cool about this vegan leather is that it's bio-based. It's bio-based polyurethane, so it's not petrochemicals. Um, there's no coal used in the production of the binding material. So it's vegetable oil. You know, it's not. You know, so that's another.
Another level of sustainability there.
Yeah, and then in the interior, real quick, it's organic cotton, so it's not polyester. You know, we try and avoid plastic wherever we can. I don't think we have plastic anywhere actually. Normal other pleather, if you will, has is petro based. So that's another big plus for the science nerds out there.
Yeah. And also another thing I realized, while I was researching this, I found out that regular leather is not biodegradable because they put in a lot of chemicals into it to make it last longer so that it doesn't biodegrade. And when you put it out in the landfill, all of those chemicals leach out into the soil, making it unusable for further, cultivation.
Yeah.
It's like the tannin process where they put it into kind of enabled in chemicals to increase the durability of it, and also make the skin, because it's animal leather at the end of the day, right? You need to make it soft, and you need to make it um, from a touch and texture perspective. You need to kind of to make it bind right, and so they put it in tannins, and usually the tannins, as you said, when you put it in landfills, they drip out and they're harsh chemicals.
I love the added bonus of all those sound effects that we have from the background. It's like making it part of nature. Like it's plant based. It's okay. So where are you guys today? What do you have? What do you have going on right now? And then the next question is, what's next?
Sure. I think where we are today is, we're at someone asked that question is, how much have we got production? So we're thankfully on our third production batch. It's taken quite a long time, but we're happy with the third production batch, and we have some kind of new products that Tanmay will kind of go into and what they look like. And really, what we have done is, we've been able to build a very nice, strong organic base on Instagram and some of the other social media places. Thanks to everyone to contributing and liking us, and the Instagram algorithm. We all know how it works, but fortunately, the organic growth has been awesome, just because people are able to understand where we're coming from and how we're trying to actually change little by little. But we also kind of look at how do we kind of localize it? How do we keep it to begin where we are able to actually reach? And so our targets today is really working with a lot of the boutiques in LA that really want to be future forward and thinking about how do they get into the sustainable market? Like, how do they become part of the sustainable ecosystem? So that's one area we're definitely looking forward to. The other areas also, we've got wineries. We've got plenty of wineries and sustainable wineries. Sorry, I've got to read. It's a bird.
I love it. Sorry.
So we've got a lot of sustainable wineries up here in Northern California, where we want to talk to them about potentially kind of looking at, hey, how do you kind of work with us in white labeling some of our products so you can provide it to your customers, and instead of getting the leather wine toad, why don't you get a cactus leather wine toad with the branded image? So we're trying to kind of start now. Expanding our horizon, and kind of we've gone past the family and friends. We continue to enjoy the family and friends, so please feel free if you want whatever the new products look like that Tanmay will introduce. Please feel free to completely buy our entire spring 2022 line. but yeah, so we're excited. We think that that'll be a good way for us to kind of also give locally back. We want to make sure that first we want to begin locally before we kind of say, hey, people from the rest of US or even abroad say, hey, we want to be part of this movement. We see as the overall, climate change has to be small movements. You have to do your part. And we think this is kind of the way we want to kind of do it. Hopefully, this is the right next step. And maybe in 6 months we'll come back and say no, we should have gone another way. But that's also a learning lesson. So over to Tanmay on the products.
So I want to say one quick thing before Tanmay goes. You know, the bird sound, it reminds me of in politics when someone's making a big point, everyone's banging the tables like we agree with this person. I think the birds are kind of, this is their way of saying I agree with Vineet and what's going on right now. Tanmay, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're working on a couple of different products right now. I am actually not at liberty to disclose what they are because we have a campaign behind them, but they're really based on one of our other core values, which is being travel friendly. We want to meet people where they are, both as travelers and as people hopefully wanting to start this sustainability journey on their own or with us or whatever, and so we're trying to create designs and products that people can use every day, that they can show off every day, because they just I hate to toot our own horn, but I don't mind tooting Deserto's horn. The colors and the material just pop, We're excited to put them out into the world, but they are, practical items that people use every day. But to find out, you got to like and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We're going to be dropping hints coming soon about 2 new products. We're really excited about them. We wanted to stabilize our Vegander launch and delivery, and so it's been a very personal journey from that perspective because we've been able to go out and really meet literally I came over to your house and gave you guys the Vegander, which thank you guys for your support. You and Shanika have just been awesome people and friends. I just can't thank you enough. So that part has been great. We wanted to make sure we had a one product released that ended up being what our friends and family were expecting, and is actually physically in their hand. And now we're ready to know that we have done it once. We can now start it with a new product with solid footing.
Those. So the 2 new products, are they like men's wear, women's wear, neutral?
So they're actually they're non-gendered.
Okay.
That actually, going into one of our other core values is diversity. We want to be able to make products that anyone can use. Man, woman, non-binary. It's important. And being a local LA-based brand, it's extremely important for us. So we'll see how everyone reacts, but I think they work for everyone. And no matter whether you're a kid or like a old dude like me, we like to think we can make something that vibes with everybody. So
okay, where can people find your brand?
So we are on Instagram at highatlas.co.co, and then our website is www.highatlas.co. And for your listeners and viewers, we have a special, we have a discount code. It's going to be Varun10, and we're offering 10% off to anyone who may be one of your followers. To support us and to support you and your show. We'd be happy to do that. So, yeah.
That's the website, and you said it's Varun10 as the code.
Yeah.
10% off.
They can just DM us. Our website is in beta right now, so it shows it's sold out, but we still have some inventory left. We have a few green and a few red, but we're going to be back in stock probably right at the end of May-ish, I think, give or take a couple of weeks. But yeah, we were pleasantly surprised that we ended up selling out like really, really fast, even on our second run of production. So we were like, oh, should we update it or not? Because there's barely any left. So, but there are a few left, and if anyone is interested, just DM us.
The product speaks for itself. I mean, it's a great product. That's why it's going off the shelf. One last thing before we go, I'm adding a new element to my interviews. So this is a random question game, right? Okay. So I have a list of 100 random questions.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, both of you, for one number. Pick a number between 1 and 100, and I'll ask you the same question.
Okay, Vinny, do you want to go first, or should I go first?
Go ahead.
2.
Okay, number 2. Let's see what you got. The question is, what's your favorite board game?
Monopoly. I love Monopoly.
Interesting. Okay, okay. Vineet, what number? Pick a number 1 to 100.
18.
18. Let's see. We got. What are the things you'd spend $1 billion on?
What were the things I'd spend $1 billion on?
Like if you had $1 billion, what are the things you would spend it on or invest it in?
I guess I would probably invest it in companies that are trying to change the world. I think that would be something fun to do. Yeah. And I'd probably spend a bit on myself too. Like I'm gonna joke
you're
about.
Supposed to say first. You're supposed to say I would spend it all on my wife and kids, and then a bit on myself too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not even married yet. I know that's supposed to be the answer.
We're the last priority. All right, great. Well, thank you so much, guys. This has been an amazing conversation. I appreciate you guys so much for being on here. I am going to a short applause for you guys, Tanmay and Vineet. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to our guests and audience, everyone that tuned in. We so appreciate you guys being here. My next interview is going to be on Monday, 3/14, which is Pi Day. And the topic is mental health in an Indian home. Love and abundance, everyone. Again, a reminder, drink your water. So I'm going to drink some water. Everyone, drink water.
I wish I would have known about that thing. I would have had my water bottle out here too.
That's okay. When you get off the show, you can drink your water.
Exactly.
But love and abundance, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. See you guys on Monday. Thank you, Tanmay. Thank you, Vineet.
Thank you, V, for the opportunity.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.